Now that the three primaries, red, yellow, and blue, are finished, we're going to do secondary colors. Secondary colors happen exactly between. So I'm going to look here between blue and yellow, and right between there it tells me green. We're going to worry about blue, green, and yellow, green later because they're intermediates or tertiaries. We're going to do secondaries. So green, violet, and orange. So I determine what colors I need by looking at which primaries are here. So I need blue and yellow to make green, and then I'm also going to get the white out. So in this case, I am making 3 little piles of color instead of just 2. Remember, you scoop and roll your brush to make a pile. Clean it off because you don't want this to get dirty. All right, scoop and roll. Now when I mix, I want to make sure I'm mixing the dark into the lighter. So in the case of making this green, the yellow is the lighter of my 2 primaries. So I'm going to mix the blue into the yellow to make the green before I start mixing it with the white. Now remember, we want it to be pretty much equal parts blue and yellow visually. That doesn't necessarily mean exact half and half of the paint because the blue is stronger than the yellow. But if I scoop up some blue and I mix it in here, remember to mix in circles so that it stays in a pile. I'm going to mix it until I feel like it's, well, that's more yellow than it is green. So that might make a good yellow-green when I'm going to do that. But in this case, I'm going to add a little more blue so I can get a more like leafy green, Kelly green, lucky clover green. There we go. All right, roll the brush to make a nice pile. Okay, now that I have a good green, I'm going to go ahead and paint the green on here where it belongs in my main color sections, which in my case, I have 2 of them. I have this one at the top. This is actually a fish. So my fish at the top is just going to be green. Remember, you push the paint to the line and then fill it in nice and solid. Make sure you have enough paint to cover the paper. You also want to make sure that your paint is the consistency of pancake batter, like it would be if you were going to pour it onto the griddle to make it. If your paint starts to get more like toothpaste, you need to add a little bit of water to get it back to that pancake consistency. Water for acrylic paint is what we call a vehicle because it will make it move. Paint is made with powdered pigments and a binder. In this case, it's an acrylic polymer, so this dries like plastic. If it was a crayon, the binder would be wax. Oil paints, the binder is oil. You kind of get the idea. Okay, so now I have my main green on here. So I am now going to scoop some of this green and mix it into the white because remember, the dark always goes into the light. It's easier to make it darker, really hard to make it lighter. So now I have this lovely little minty green color. It's my lightest one. That little spot's small, so take some paint off those bristles. I'm going to fill this lightest section in with that paint. I'm going to add a little more green to make it darker. And you notice too that it doesn't actually take that much paint to paint these sections. That's why we can get away with using these little mixing squares. So it's a little bit darker. I'm going to make this one a little bit darker. Remember, you can always turn your paper. Be careful not to put your hand in other things. One tip is to kind of place your pinky where it's clean or dry and use it to steady your hand. Just use the tip of the bristles. Okay, I'm going to make another darker version. And I think I'm actually missing a line in this section, but I think I can imagine where it should be in paint pen. So, yep, this is the line right here that's kind of missing, but we'll just paint it in.